Well, folks, the good old boomerang has returned to Monday. And that means we get your work week started off correctly with the #1 form, hottest content in terms of Alabama football right here with the #1 ticket for your Crimson Tide, in my own words, with yours truly, the hype man for all things Bama football, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine, bringing to you the show from the Magic City of Birmingham, streaming you the show on YouTube. Speaking of the channel, go ahead right now, give us a thumbs up, like the show right now, hit that subscribe button. Also, turn all of those notifications on, hit that little bell so you can continue to get the best in news, notes, information, and coverage on your favorite program, that being the Crimson Tide. Also, you can check us out on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter, as well, streaming the show from all facets here of social media. No excuse whatsoever for you not to be knocked on to the #1 forum here when you talk Crimson Tide football. We got a lot to get to on this evening, a lot to discuss. Where will Julio Jones go? A lot of stuff right now about the former Alabama wide receiver, one of the greatest ambassadors of Crimson Tide football, a 10-year veteran, once out of Atlanta. Where does he go? We'll talk that. We'll have our own Justin Smith, the scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA. He's coming on a little bit later in the show to dive into some recruiting updates. And then I go into, in honor of all the freshman players for this past recent signing class, they're all on campus now. Of all the players in here, I dive into my 5 freshmen that will see the field as either getting significant playing time or become starters here for the Crimson Tide. So a lot of fun, a lot of action to get to tonight on the show. Gotta shout out my man John Ivory one time in the production studio doing his thing as he always does. I also gotta shout out 2 very outstanding young ladies close to my heart. Gotta shout out my little sister Rachel Smith and my cousin Whitney Bennett. Both of those 2 young ladies will be graduating from high school on tomorrow. Very proud of both of those 2 young ladies for all they have done. It's been a joy watching those 2 grow up. But we want to hear from you tonight, the Alabama football faithful. 205-448-1358. That is the number right there to get your voice be heard on the show. 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. Want to hear from you. That daily super chat goal, as always, $75 daily super chat goal. Appreciate you guys. But we start things off with this right here. So Julio Jones, 7-time Pro Bowler, 2-time first-team NFL All-Pro. The Falcons traded up to the #6 overall pick to draft him in the first round of a 2011 NFL draft. He has been the face of the franchise for such a long period of time, but now he has made it known he wants out of Atlanta. He wants nothing to do with the Falcons. So check out the clip here earlier this morning as Julio woke some guys up to start their week on Undisputed FS1 with Shannon Sharp, Skip Bayless, and one Jenny Taft. Here is Julio Jones.
You want to go to the Cowboys, Julio, or you want to stay in Atlanta?
Oh, man, nah, I'm out of there, man.
You out of there?
He's out of there.
Are you going to... Ideally, where would you like to go?
Right now, I want to win.
Okay. Well, don't go to Dallas. If you go to, you ain't winning in Dallas, Julio.
Man, listen, come on, man. You already know I know.
Okay.
Can you remind him we're on television
Ask
right
him
now?
why wore the Dallas.
Listen. You know how people is, man, with all that going on with the picture.
Yeah.
And all that, stuff like that.
Okay.
Man, I ain't never been on that. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Now, I'm not 100% sure if Julio knew that this was live on TV. Of course, you heard right there, Jenny Taft basically telling Shannon and Skip Bayless, did y'all tell him that we're live? This is live. We're actually right here broadcasting this on FS1. But Julio did answer the call there from Shannon Sharpe and let the news be made known. He wants out of Atlanta. He wants out of the franchise. He wants out of the organization. And this should not come as a surprise to anybody, though Atlanta Falcon fans are probably outside crying and pouring up drinks and trying to escape the pain because for the first time, I guess, since Mike Vick, Julio Jones brought a sense of hype. He brought a sense of security, a sense of stability, a sense of big play. He brought everybody out. Much like when Vick got to Atlanta, he brought everybody out. Julio Jones brought everybody out. And this is an individual that, to me, I feel like it's taken Julio 10 years, but he's kind of starting to understand Atlanta-based sports, they have a problem with getting over the hump. They can't quite get over the hump, especially since the turn of the century. You look at the Atlanta Braves, the last World Series, 1995. You look at the Atlanta Hawks, the last time they won the NBA Finals, 1958. Now, they're hoping that Trae Young, their hot shot point guard, can finally get them to heights that they have never experienced before. But since 1958, no NBA Finals for the Hawks. You look at the Atlanta Falcons, no Super Bowl. They had a chance to win one back in the 2016 season when they were beating the New England Patriots 28-3. They have Tom Brady held up at gunpoint right there at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. You got every Atlanta-based rapper at this game, whether it was T.I., Jeezy, Migos, they were all there. They were all there waiting for this to finally be the moment for the Falcons to get it done. And they let Tom Brady come from the dead and beat them. They choke it away in Atlanta. So we've seen this Atlanta-based sports, and even with the Georgia Bulldogs. Now, of course, that's in Athens, but the Georgia Bulldogs have not won a national championship since 1980, where Vince Dooley was the head coach and Herschel Walker was the running back. They could have gotten a national championship in the 2017 season, but 2018 game, unfortunately for them, Tua Tagovailoa came off the bench for the Crimson Tide and straight ruined that dream for them. And then the very next season, in the SEC championship game, Jalen Hurts came off the bench and ruined that for them. Oh, and by the way, last year, if you guys did not watch that game, Mac Jones, as the starting quarterback, took care of Georgia 41-24. So Julio knows. I've been here for 10 years. I've tried. I've given my best to this organization. But he's understanding now Atlanta-based sports. There's a big sense of mediocrity to where they can't seem to get over the hump. Something is keeping the Atlanta-based sports from getting over the hump. And not just that, we saw a variety of this on the wall going back to about 5 to 6 years ago when the organization decided to honor Matt Ryan over Julio. They gave Matt Ryan the $150 million deal, $100 million guaranteed. Now, I understand we are in a league where it's quarterback hungry, quarterback driven. If you don't have a quarterback, what do you have? But let's call a spade a spade. Let's keep it $100, $100, $1,000 for just a moment right here. 2 wide receivers made Matt Ryan's career. If we're going to be 100% about this thing, 2 wide receivers made Ryan's career. Roddy White made the early part of his career, and they did Roddy White dirty at the end. And Julio Jones has made this part of his career. If not for Julio Jones, Matt Ryan is not an MVP in the 2016 season. Let's be honest about that. If not for Julio Jones, Kyle Shanahan does not have a head coaching job with the San Francisco 49ers right now because in Shanahan's year with the Falcons, Julio made him look really, really good as a play caller. So Julio is getting quarterbacks paid. Julio is getting coaches new gigs. And yet when Julio, all he wanted was the other spot, was the other little bit of his $71.5 million extension that he got back in 2015, a 5-year deal. He just wants now the $15.3 million of that, and Atlanta's having a hissy fit giving that to him. But they had no problem coming off $150 million, $100 million guaranteed to Matt Ryan, but that's neither here nor there. So we've already kind of seen these writings on the wall. And on top of that, when the Falcons went to draft Kyle Pitts, the number 4 overall pick in this recent draft, that just put the final nail there in the coffin. So Julio kind of been disgruntled here for quite some time, but now, making it known to Shannon Sharpe and Undisputed that he wants out of the organization. When you look at Julio, in his 10 years with the Falcons, he's been durable for much of that time. I know he had a foot issue early on in his career, had a little nagging hamstring last season, but for the most part, very durable throughout his career in the pros. Julio, 7 1,000-yard seasons, including 5 of those 1,400-yard seasons for him. Now, there are some teams that are in the Julio Jones sweepstakes. There are about 6 teams in here, and of those 6 teams are in here, you're looking at the Tennessee Titans, the San Francisco 49ers, the Baltimore Ravens, the Los Angeles Chargers, the New England Patriots. I mean, you've got some teams involved here, the Indianapolis Colts also. You got some teams involved here in the Julio sweepstakes. Now, I mentioned this before. If the Titans get Julio because he's been working out with Derrick Henry, Derrick Henry has said, that's the guy I want. If the Titans get Julio, then Tennessee is basically saying, Ryan Tannehill, we believe you can get us to a Super Bowl. We got you, Derrick Henry. We got you, A.J. Brown. If the Titans get Tannehill, Julio Jones, then that just tells me they believe Ryan Tannehill as a Super Bowl type quarterback. If the Ravens were to get Julio Jones, then that just tells me that John Harbaugh and that organization, they want to open up more of Lamar Jackson's passing game, because the Ravens, they drafted receivers, they went in the offseason and got receivers. You're pulling out Julio Jones, now you're telling Lamar Jackson, we want you throwing the football. If the New England Patriots get Julio, although they've got Cam Newton back for another 1-year deal, could you imagine for 1 second Mac Jones to Julio Jones for a touchdown? I mean, the Alabama fan base would lose their freaking mind if that was to happen out there on the field. So you got some suitors here for Julio, 6 teams in the market, but we will definitely see what happens and what takes place. But the biggest part of this, people, it's simple. Julio came from the University of Alabama. And when you come from Nick Saban, and when you win at the highest level, that being a national championship, when you go play pro ball, that becomes the goal. That becomes the mindset. I came to Alabama. I was coached by Nick Saban. I won a national championship. I know how it feels to win the Natty. I know how it feels to hold that crystal ball. So now that I'm at the next level, I want to be able to hold that Vince Lombardi trophy. I want to be able to win Super Bowls at the next level. And because of the fact that Atlanta and the state that it's in, not being able to get over the hump, Julio's not down with that. He ain't with that. He gave it 10 years, but now he knows. I'm 32 years old. I got a lot of football still left in me. I want to go to a place where I know I can win and I can grab some Super Bowls. Best wishes there to Julio. Got 6 teams out there that can really use his services. But we take our first break here on the show. Don't touch that dial. We're just getting started. Upon our return, we get into a conversation with you, the Bama fans, right after this.
You're watching In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith, brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace today by visiting weownthefourthquarter.com. Throw them foes up. Every sports fan deserves the proper representation. Whitwell Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care, in support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99, and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to whitwellsports.com and get your Title Towel today.
Remember the taste of Grandma's delicious sweets? Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes brings back those precious memories with just one bite. Each cake made from scratch. They make the perfect dessert to share with family and friends for any occasion, and ordering is easy. Visit Emily'sHeirloomPoundCakes.com. Click the online store and shop. Then pick up your fresh cake at the kitchen in downtown Homewood. Order yours online at Emily'sHeirloomPoundCakes.com. Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes, making memories from scratch.
As we're back into the action here, folks, from the break of a number one forum for Bama football news, in my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Before we take your calls right now, I saw some interesting conversations going on in the chat line involving one Julio Jones. A couple of you want him going to the Eagles. Definitely would not mind seeing the Eagles put Julio with Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith. That'll be nasty right there. Would not mind that one bit. Some of you are thinking, could you imagine Julio with the Chiefs? You've got Julio and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes. That would just be unholy and unfair if Julio went to Kansas City. But last but not least, I would not mind seeing Julio with the Miami Dolphins. I'm going to be real. If Miami wants to really commit to Tua, get Julio to Miami, have Tua, Julio, Jalen Waddle, that would be sick as well. So just some different teams out there that could really use Jones's services, seeing how he is done with the Atlanta Falcons. But we go to the phone lines. I will take your calls. Call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, 205-448-1358. That's the number to call right there to let your voice be heard, 205-448-1358. We grab a call right now. You're live on the show. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on, Steve?
What's happening?
Hey, man, this is Sam Foster. I'm calling live, man, from Dallas, Texas area, my brother. And I just wanted to say, man, I called Unc this morning, man, on Undisputed. And I'm going to have to go with Skip on this one, man. We could really use Julio down here in Dallas, man. I'm originally from Birmingham, been down in Dallas area for about 20 years. He can be great, man, opposite your boy Coop down here, man. We can use him. He can spread the field. We can get rid of Gallup, man. We can get him down there to Atlanta and make that even swap, man, and get them two sprinters, man, down here on the same team, man. We can use them down here in Cowboy Nation, baby.
That will be interesting if Jerry Jones does it. That'll be very interesting because we all know Jerry Jones is a splash guy. And Julio still has some years left on him. If you could have Julio, Coop, and CeeDee Lamb all on the same team with Ezekiel Elliott and Dak Prescott pulling the trigger, you would basically tell Prescott you have no excuse now.
No.
Appreciate that call, man. Thanks for calling, and we appreciate that. We take our next call here of the evening. You're live on the show. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on, Steve?
You're wailing yourself.
Don't blame. It's Robert from Mobile. I definitely don't blame Julio, of course, from being tired of Atlanta. I mean, what's been 10 years? Now he's been wasting away up there. How many times we all said that it's time for you to start thinking of going somewhere else where you can win a championship? In my opinion, I like just two places. Either go to the Steelers because they're desperate. I'm a Steelers fan. We're desperate for a great receiver, or the New England Patriots, and play with Mac Jones. Those are the two because they're also desperate for a receiver, and they have a winning tradition. Now, the Wings are farther away from a championship than Pittsburgh is, although with Belichick and that system and the right quarterback, who knows how quickly they can get back into the mix again. But will he want to go until they figure out if they're going to start Mac Jones or Cam Newton? Does Julio want to be involved in that mess? Or do you want to go where it's already a quarterback established in Big Ben? Although he's on the end of his career, but he may be, ready to win another championship again to go out with a bang. So that could be a great fit for him too. But those two teams, in my opinion, are the best two fits for him, either the Steelers or the New England Patriots. And again, you have to be up and come with Mac Jones, but who knows? If Mac Jones can go off clicking, which he can in this system, then it could be a good fit for Julio. So hopefully he'll end up on one of those two teams, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Appreciate that thought right there coming from Robert from Mobile. That the Steelers and the Patriots, his two thoughts there in terms of Julio Jones. We take our next call right now. You're live on the show. What's going on?
What's going on, Steven? This your boy Scuba Lou from the third water. N.O. that man know, you heard me? Hey, I got to jump in on this Julio talk. You already know. Ain't nobody talking about it. He coming to the Saint, baby. We're going to have a party right downtown in the city, baby.
Hey, Scuba Luke, now, I'm telling you, if Julio goes to New Orleans and it's Julio and Mike Thomas, just go ahead and book y'all Super Bowl. Go ahead and book y'all Super Bowl. Julio and Mike Thomas, go ahead and book that.
That's what I'm trying to tell you, baby. Michael Thomas, famous Jamie. Y'all keep laughing. He did what he did in Tampa that last year. I'm trying to tell you. Julio on one side, Thomas on the other. Got Kamara. Come on now. Hey, we can only dream, ho, right? Hey.
Absolutely. Got Scuba Lou, my man Scuba Lou calling in from the ENO from New Orleans. I mean, if the Saints get Julio, just shut the book down. Just shut the book down if that happens. But I'm going to go to a cool call topic right now before taking a break here. How about Alabama softball? Kudos to Montana Fouts, Patrick Murphy, Bailey Hemphill, and Bama softball took care of the Tuscaloosa Regional over the weekend. Shut everybody down when you talk Alabama State and Clemson twice. They are moving on to the Super Regionals this weekend where they take on Kentucky. If they take care of the Wildcats, Bama going on to the Women's College World Series. Team 25 getting it done in T-Town. Proud of Coach Murphy and the ladies doing their thing. But we take a break right now. Don't touch that dial because upon our return, we sit down with my man Justin Smith, the scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA, to talk some updates and talent recruiting right after this.
You know what we do at the start of the fourth quarter. We throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the fourth quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace at weownthefourthquarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football fourth quarter dominance. Get your 4-finger bling necklace right now at We Own the Fourth Quarter. Yours today and stun on them haters. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
And we are back into the action here, folks, on a Monday, getting that work week started for you correctly. And the number one forum for Bama football news, in my own word, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine, having a great conversation on one Julio Jones. Where will he go? Where will he end up? He wants out of Atlanta. Atlanta wants a first-round pick in exchange for him. So much stuff going on, but definitely wish the best for one Jones. But we're going to go over to the In My Own Words hotline. We pick up the real legend, the real MVP, the real boots on the ground when it comes to Bama recruiting. This guy is doing everything and then some. I'm talking about none other than Justin Smith of TDA. Justin, my brother, what's happening with you?
Not much, Steven.
We got Justin on the phone lines right now covering Crimson Tide recruiting for 2022 and beyond. So right now, Justin, one big name that you have shared with me is one Denver Harris, 5-star cornerback out of North Shore High School in Texas. That he's one of Bama's top targets, a guy that Alabama looking forward to bringing in here where that 2022 class is concerned. Just talk to me a little bit about him. You know, what stands out to you about him, and you know, where is Alabama in terms of building or crafting this relationship with one Denver Harris out of Texas?
Well, they are definitely in a great position considering he is one of those prospects. Every recruiting cycle, you have one of those prospects who have felt like they have been a priority for Alabama for most of their recruitment. And Denver Harris is definitely one of those kids in the 2021 recruiting class. Just looking back at when Alabama first offered him when he was a freshman after he camped at the university. Nick Saban gave him that offer, and he basically told him that he was going to be one of their top recruits in the 2021 recruiting class. So he has a long relationship with the top coaching staff. Alabama has been pretty successful at recruiting prospects from North Shore High School in recent recruiting classes, looking at them getting Jaden this past recruiting cycle, then also taking a look at them getting another offensive lineman in the 2020 recruiting class out of North Shore High School as well, and Damian George. So they have done a great job in terms of recruiting North Shore High School and recruiting the state of Texas, especially this last recruiting cycle. So they are in a great position with Denver Harris. In terms of when he could make an announcement, he previously said he was going to possibly wait to National Signing Day, but with the NCAA lifting the recruiting dead period, I think a lot of recruits' plans are going to be changed in terms of when a commitment could come. He has a top 4 at the moment, and he plans to officially visit every school in his top 4 during the month of June. So things could change for him this summer. He will officially visit Alabama in June as well, along with visiting Texas, Texas A&M, and LSU. So it could get pretty interesting in his recruitment. In terms of guys who could make an announcement this summer, Denver Harris is definitely a prospect I will keep my eyes on.
If you're just tuning into the show today, ladies and gentlemen, we got Justin Smith, the scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama magazine, on the phone lines here talking Crimson Tide recruiting 2022 and beyond. So, Justin, right now, you have gotten an update on JT Tuimoloau of what his move could be, when the announcement could be coming. What is involved in this update regarding Tuimoloau?
Well, previously the group he basically trains with out of the state of Washington, a group that trains some of the top players in the state of Washington, whether that is the NFL or at the college level. They recently put out a post saying that an announcement could come from JT on last night. An announcement did not come, but it looks as if he's going to take a couple of visits. A visit to Ohio State looks to be as solid at the moment, but something I will keep an eye on in terms of some possibly visiting Alabama is that group does plan to take a lot of visits this summer. They will be in Tuscaloosa as a group, as a team on June 2nd, so we could see JT come to the University of Alabama on June 2nd. I know a lot of guys, interesting guys who train in that particular program, who Alabama has offered, will be along as well in terms of a 5-star in the 2023 recruiting class in Jaden Wayne. So it will be a great opportunity for Alabama to get a lot of those guys on campus, and it also will be a great opportunity for Alabama to get JT on campus again. This is the group that originally took JT to Tuscaloosa the first time he visited Alabama a couple of years ago, so we could see him in Tuscaloosa on June 2nd. There's definitely not out of the question at the moment.
Now, Justin, of course, the last remaining players from this recent signing class are all on campus now, the summer enrollees. So of the 27 names, if I'm not mistaken, of the 27 names that signed in this class, including 7 guys from the state of Texas, how many of these freshmen, or name a few freshmen that you feel like will get significant playing time from this group, either as starters or huge contributors? Who do you see getting significant playing time?
Well, I see a couple of different prospects who could work their way into the rotation, whether that is on special teams or on different parts of the game. I will look at Terry Arnold as a possible guy who could possibly make some noise in the secondary, or he could make some plays on special teams as well. So I would take a look at Arnold most definitely. Another guy I'll pay attention to with Alabama continuing to have a deep defensive line rotation, Damon Payne is another prospect I would keep my eyes on in terms of Alabama allowing defensive linemen, freshmen at the defensive line position, to play a lot in recent recruiting classes. So I definitely will keep an eye out on Payne. And also looking at guys also in the secondary, you also got to keep your eyes on Kyrie Jackson, because he is definitely going to be one of the top names to know in the fall. I think he is in a great position to push for one of those cornerback positions.
He's Justin Smith, ladies and gentlemen, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama magazine, coming on the talk 2022 recruiting and beyond, and providing us some updates there on the trail. Justin, appreciate you coming on, man. Stay safe, man. Take care of yourself. Be good.
Do the same, Stephen.
Absolutely. Awesome getting a chance to talk with Justin there, breaking down Alabama on the recruiting trail. Well, upon our return, folks, we're going to jump back into the phone lines to take your calls and have a dialogue with you for Tide Nation right after this.
Don't touch that dial. Call in right now as we're taking your calls up next on In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith. Brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Visit weownthefourthquarter.com now to get your four-finger bling necklace. You know what we do at the start of the fourth quarter. We throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the fourth quarter. Get your four-finger bling necklace at weownthefourthquarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football fourth quarter dominance. Get your four-finger bling necklace right now at weownthefourthquarter.com. Get yours today and stun on them haters. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
We're back into the conversation here, folks, on the number one forum for Crimson Tide football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen M. Smith, on a Monday, starting that work week all for you correctly. And before we get into the phone lines to take your calls, that's the call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang. Saw more conversation in the chat line regarding one Julio Jones. Somebody wrote in, do the Cowboys have enough cap room to get Jones? Now, I'm not sure. I don't think they do, but once again, this is Jerry Jones we're talking about, and he is somebody that will stop at nothing to get a guy that he wants to get. If he feels like we're a Julio Jones away from winning the Super Bowl, then he's going to go out there and get a Julio Jones. Now, mind you, he just paid Amari Cooper, that he did. Mind you, he paid Dak Prescott, that he did. So he has already paid some people. Now, he needs defense. That's the main thing that Dallas needs. They need to continue to get more defense, but we all know how Jerry Jones is. He's a splashy type guy. And if he sees somebody that's out there that's splashy, that he feels like they will benefit us, Jerry Jones will go out there and get that individual. Now, absolutely. So shout out to Vodka Drinker there for that question right there, just on the Cowboys there, having that, do they have that cap room, or not? But I don't think they do. But then again, you look at Jerry Jones, and this is what he does. Also, there was another thought in there about how Julio needs to force his way to the All-Bama defensive roster or the All-Bama roster on the Washington football team. I like that. Somebody said Julio needs to do that 2008 Bama thing and force his way in there. And shout out to James Knox in the chat line for that thought right there, because I like that one. And the reason why people don't think about it, the Washington football team needs receivers too. I mean, Cam Sims is finally healthy, praise Jesus. He's finally healthy and sticking around, but that's another organization that needs wide receivers. And you get you a Julio Jones over there. You've already got the defense in Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen and Sean Dion Hamilton and Landon Collins. So you already got the defense over there. All you need to do is get you a Julio Jones. You've already got a tough-minded defensive head coach in Ron Rivera that kind of reminds you of Nick Saban. He's not Nick Saban, but he kind of reminds you of that. So the Washington football team, that would be a good option as well. But once again, it comes down to what does Julio do? It just sucks that he spent 10 years in the A, and could not get him a Super Bowl. He almost got him one, but they choked it away from him. But anyway, that's just beside the point. We take a call right now, going live, coming into the show. You're live on the show. What's going on?
What going on, calling for the mountain?
What's going on, my man?
Not much. What Julio going?
Man, that's the question everybody want to know is where Julio going, man. I mean, he could go to New England, and that would work. He could go to Tennessee, been working out with Derrick Henry, that would work. I mean, there are 6 teams that want him. It just comes down to which team has the best cap space to get him. Now, if it comes down to cap space, the Patriots have the best cap space, but it just depends on where he feels the most comfortable at. But we definitely appreciate that call right there from my man from Demopolis talking about Julio. Everybody wants to know where is Julio going to go. I mean, that's if I had Julio's number like Shannon Sharp got it, man, I would call Julio myself and ask him. But apparently I don't have that pull that Shannon Sharp has at this moment to get Julio on the phone. But we're going to go to a quick topic here, folks, as you guys continue to get your thoughts in. 205-448-1358. That's the number to call in. But congratulations to John Metchie. Congrats to Alabama junior wide receiver John Metchie on becoming the first Canadian player or Canadian athlete in 17 years to be a national champion, but also as a national champion win the John Cornish Trophy and being the top Canadian player in NCAA football. Big honors there for one John Metchie. He got the award, becoming the 4th player to get that done. And, here's somebody of home, a native of Brampton, Ontario. And when he came in, he had the hardest learning curve and understanding of the gist of playing ball here for the Tide. But 2019 he got in some limited action there, but this past season the former 4-star, 6 feet 195 pounds, I mean, he just exploded. 55 catches, 916 yards, 6 touchdowns. Showed people that he could be a playmaker. Had 2 100-yard games against Tennessee and Texas A&M. 35 of his receptions went for either first downs or touchdowns. Made big plays when Jalen Waddle was out. Probably the biggest play of the season is where he blasted. I mean, he just blindsided Trey Dean, Florida defensive back. Trey Dean is probably somewhere still on the ground at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta from that hit. But Metchie made that hit there, helping Alabama get the 52-46 win. And after that hit, there was kind of a conversation between Nick Saban and Pete Golden as to whether do we put Metchie on defense? Can we move Metchie to free safety? Metchie would make a good free safety, Nick. Hey, put Metchie on the defense. And Nick's like, nah, man, we got to keep Metchie right where he is on the offensive side of the football. But Metchie showed you, hey, if you need him to hit a little bit, he can hit a little bit. He can lay that wood. He can go out there and do what he got to do to make the plays happen there on the defensive side of the football. But congrats to Metchie winning that award there, the John Cornish Trophy, being the top Canadian player for the NCAA college football. Guys, shout out Mechanic one time. That $25 donation in the Super Chats. Appreciate Mechanic for the love and support there. As always, Tide Nation, that daily Super Chat go. $75 daily Super Chat go. Appreciate you guys. We take another break right now on the show, but when we return, I get into my 5 freshmen. My 5 true freshmen 2021 class, this recent signing class that will get significant playing time. We'll talk about it after this.
If you're an avid Alabama Crimson Tide fan and you love to flaunt it, then show your Alabama Crimson Tide support by grabbing the All-Bama sneakers. They feature bold Crimson Tide graphics, so no one will be able to question where your allegiance lies. When you add these sweet sneakers to your Alabama Crimson Tide collection, go to STSfootwear.com and use the code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. That's code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. Go to STSfootwear.com and get your All-Bama sneakers today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
As we are back into the action here, folks, from the break, I'm the hottest ticket for Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. And before we continue the conversation, got to give a birthday shout-out to the legend, Tyrone Prothro. Happy birthday to one Tyrone Prothro, one of the greatest, electrifying, breathtaking, talented, extraordinary wide receivers to come through this program. We all remember the incredible catches, kickoff returns, punt returns he made in his career, including the just insane catch on the back of the neck of Jasper Falk in the 2005 game between Alabama and Southern Miss as the two rolled and tumbled into the end zone. And Alabama with that catch there won. Tyrone Prothro, happy birthday to him. And Prothro was the one who actually said he would like to see Julio go to the Miami Dolphins or the Tennessee Titans. But happy birthday to the one Tyrone Prothro. Hopefully he is enjoying that. But before we get into the final topic of conversation, got to remind you of TDAwear.com. That's TDAwear.com. So for all of you fans still overjoyed with the Tide's national championship, we want you to check out our championship collection merch. Now this means you grab you 18 of them things, folk. Hoodie, t-shirt, or sweatshirt, as well as our Got 18 We Do shirts. Designs that feature all 18 championship years on the back. You head over to TDAwear.com. Do it right now. That's TDAwear.com. You go to that Championship Collections merch tab, and you copy those shirts. Get you that gear today. Show them that support for Coach Saban, the University of Alabama, the student athletes, and us here at Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Oh, man, William Bryant. My man William Bryant's back. My boy William with that $49.99. He done two-stepped his way back in the building. That $49.99 in the Super Chats, the man William Bryant. And that means a $75 Super Chat goal has been met. Appreciate McConaughey and William Bryant, who's welcoming his way back here. And he get that thing back, way back and gone. Doing my best Chris Berman impersonation there from ESPN. But appreciate William Bryant helping us out here on the show. But as we're now getting to, in honor of the final group of freshman enrollees that have come in here to start the summer, in honor of the entire 2021 signing class coming in now, I believe it's 27 names, give or take, I'm going to get into now 5 guys. I see 5 guys that will get significant playing time, either as starters or as marquee contributors. Now, this does not mean the other guys are not good enough. No, this is because Alabama is just so deep and stacked with talent at various positions, at just numerous positions here on the roster. Now, some positional spots are less stacked than others, but for the most part, the majority of Alabama's roster, position by position, is stacked to the deck with talent. But I'm going to get into the 5 guys that I see getting significant playing time. And starting this thing off at number 1, this is self-explanatory, JaQuincy Kool-Aid McKinstry. Kool-Aid will play. Kool-Aid will get on the field. Kool-Aid will see a bunch of playing time. And I know a lot of people would compare Kool-Aid to, a Minkah Fitzpatrick type, but when I watch Kool-Aid play, I see one former Bama DB, Dre Kirkpatrick. There is a lot of Dre Kirkpatrick and Kool-Aid. He walks like Dre. He's cocky like Dre. He's confident like Dre. He's got that Kirkpatrick swag to him. Dre loved to hit. Dre loved to cover. Dre loved to talking smack. Dre felt like if he was covering you, you were not going to get over on him. That was Dre Kirkpatrick. And when you watch Kool-Aid play, coming from high school, Pinson Valley, with former, Alabama defensive back Sam Shade as his head coach, Kool-Aid's kind of got those same type of qualities where he's going to be cocky, he's going to be confident, he's going to be in your face, he's going to be up your grill, and you're not going to be able to move a lot on him. He's been training all offseason. He's been working all offseason. Coach Saban is head over heels for this dude. Really loves how this young man plays the game. Now, on the outside looking in, he's trying to play for a starting spot. Jalen Armour Davis has got to be on his toes. He cannot afford to fall apart here in fall camp because Kool-Aid is right there on him. But that brother will see the field. Number 1, JaQuincy Kool-Aid McKinstry. Going on down here with number 2, I'm going to go with JoJo Earl at wide receiver. And I know I have spoken on him ad nauseum quite a bit, but there's a reason why I have done this. And it's because think back to the summer of 2015 for just a brief moment here. Calvin Ridley comes in from Florida. And Alabama already had some veteran receivers on the roster when you discuss Cam Sims, Robert Foster, Derek Keefe, Ardarius Stewart, that there were already some veteran guys on the roster. However, Nick Saban saw Calvin Ridley doing guys in as a freshman coming in the summer, and Coach Saban goes, I got to play him. I cannot sit him. I cannot bench him. We got to find a role. This kid is special. We got to find a role for this dude. And when you look at JoJo Earl, a lot of those same similar qualities. He's got the speed, the burst, the acceleration, the change of direction, the agility. There's a lot when you look at JoJo Earl. And just off the cusp here, when you discuss not having Jalen Waddle anymore, returning kicks, returning punts, you put that type of a guy in Earl out there on special teams, and you let that weapon do what he do in creating that type of field position and having that ability to take it to the crib, JoJo Earl style, you got to have that on special teams, and then you can kind of work him in to that receiver role. But that type of speed, burst, playmaking ability, vision, acceleration, changing directions, you've got to have that on the field as a freshman, especially with this dude coming in the summer. Calvin Ridley had veterans in front of him. He showed you cannot overlook him. JoJo Earl, there are some veterans in front of him, but he's got that same type of ability. He's number 2. As we go down to my third guy, sticking with the wide receiver room, as much as I do like Javon Baker, as much as I do like Trayshawn Holden, and these two are arguing like two children at the dinner table, give me Aja Hall. Give me Aja Hall as my third guy. And the reason why is when we left the field, U.S. fans, I myself and the media, when we left Bryant-Denny Stadium following that spring game, we left going, who in the world is this number 17? He is nasty. He is big time. He is next level. And I mean, Trayshawn Holden had 8 catches for 89 yards, and he's Bryce Young's roommate. But our eyes were just drawn to Aja Hall. And our eyes don't deceive us. Our eyes don't lie to us. When it happens, it's very rare when it happens. I have a good friend of mine, and this particular lady, she's been going to A-Day games and open practices for the longest of time. And I remember this particular woman saw Amari Cooper 2012 A-Day game. Amari Cooper's diving out for the ball. He misses the ball full on, but just him diving out, my friend goes, he's going to be good. And Amari Cooper ended up being one of the greatest to ever play here. Then I remember the 2013 Alabama open practice in August. She watches Ardarius Stewart catch everything thrown in his direction. And she goes, you see that Stewart, that 13? He's going to be good. And Ardarius Stewart ended up being pretty darn good. And then me personally, I remember the 2017 open practice in August. My crazy self at Bryant-Denny Stadium with black pants on, about to burn up. I'm talking to one Cam Sims. Cam, look, bruh, if Calvin Ridley is not open, if he's not available on this play, who do you go to with the football? Cam Sims takes me by my hand, walks me to the opposite side of the field, and points dead at Devontae Smith and says, that's him. Tay-Tay, that's him. That's a beast. That's a dog. Put it on everything. That's him. And I'll go up into the press box, and this dude did not drop a single pass. It was a pass that was about to hit the ground. Smitty plucked it off his shoestring and caught it. And I'm like, holy moly, this guy's going to be good. And he ends up being the greatest receiver to ever play in Alabama, period. So your eyes, when you see stuff, it don't deceive you often at all. And when we left the stadium, we saw 17 Asia Hall. We're like, this is the next Julio Jones out here. The size at 6'4", the balance, the body control, the catch radius, the stiff arm, the ability to go up and make contested catches and just moss all over people. Like, this Hall kid, watch him. Put a circle by his name. Like, we walked out of that stadium just in awe of Asia Hall. So that's the third guy. To me, that's the third guy that's going to see some playing time. Coach Saban's like, I got a guy big, physical, athletic, contested catches, speed, stiff arm. I got Julio Jones, potentially 2.0 right here. Definitely got to play that kid. So he's number 3. But moving on down to number 4 for me, I wanted to put Kendrick Blackshear here, but the reason why I'm not is he's got an uphill battle because he's got to prove that he's better than 7 other guys at inside linebacker. Like Kendrick Blackshear's going to prove I'm better than Jalen Moody and Henry To'oto and Shane Lee and DeMoy Kennedy and Jackson Bratton and Deontay Lawson and Ian Jackson. That's going to be hard. That's an uphill battle to prove you're better than 7 other inside linebackers. So I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm just saying it's hard out here for Pimp. It's going to be hard for him to sit there and prove he is better than 7 inside linebackers. That's why I'm going to actually go with Dallas Turner here. I'm going to go with Dallas Turner, the outside linebacker out of Florida. Now, he big size, big explosion, big athleticism, big burst, big playmaking ability. And this was somebody who said to another media outlet, he said, when I saw Will Anderson come to Alabama and dominate as a freshman, that gave me all the motivation I needed to come to Alabama. Dallas Turner saw Will Anderson do his thing, and that was like, you know what? If he can do it, make room for me. I'm coming in here, and I'm going to try to do this thing. And this makes it very interesting at outside linebacker because after Chris Allen and Will Anderson, you got so many people wanting to see Drew Sanders pop. He looks like Captain America right now. You want to see Drew Sanders pop. We saw Chris Braswell in the spring game, 5 tackles, 3 of those for loss, 3 sacks. Coach Saban, I remember talking to him, he told me Chris Braswell is somebody that they're working to have a role for on the field as an edge rusher. So you got a lot of guys here in his outside linebacker room. But I think Dallas Turner, his size, his burst, his explosion, and I think watching what Will Anderson did is going to fuel him to not only come in here, but to try to pass up some guys and get this thing rocking and rolling and trying to get significant playing time. So number 4 is Dallas Turner. And 5 and not least, last but not least, Terrion Arnold in the secondary. The safety position is not as deep as the other roles on this defense. Now, after Jordan Battle, after DeMarco Helms, you got an opportunity right there because, Daniel Wright is a backup. He's a backup. He's got experience, but Daniel Wright, we know, feast or famine. He will either make the big play or he will whiff tremendously. That's Daniel Wright. He's a backup. Behind Daniel Wright, You've got guys like Jaquez Robinson. You've got guys like Christian Story. Brian Branch can also be a safety. Right now, he's the backup nickel to Malachi Moore. So right now, that safety spot, not as much depth as other positions on the team. So here's an opportunity for Terrion Arnold at 6 feet, 186 pounds. Now, a lot of people make comparisons to, this guy's Eddie Jackson, that guy's Eddie Jackson, this guy's Eddie Jackson. Watch Terrion Arnold's tape from Tallahassee, Florida. This is Eddie Jackson. Terrion Arnold, when he has the ball in his hands, he's taking it to the crib. He has a natural feel for the ball. He attacks the ball. This is a human ball magnet, Terrion Arnold. Wherever that ball is, Terrion in his hands, not that much far away. He attacks the ball, he grips the ball, he makes plays on the ball, and he is getting that thing back either for touchdowns or for big, huge, critical plays. He is also an exceptional, secure tackler. He can make big hits, but what I like about him, athletic, coverage skills, instincts, ball skills, has a nose and a knack for breaking, jumping routes, getting his hands on the ball, and making huge plays when he's got that ball in open space, in open areas. So that safety spot after Jordan Battle, DeMarco Helms, you got a little bit of an opportunity. You got a window right there if you're Terrion Arnold to get in here and create some playing time for yourself. But those are just my 5 guys that can get some significant playing time as freshmen, true freshmen, for Alabama, whether as starters or as marquee contributors. But as always, Tide Nation, you want the best in news, notes, information, and material on your favorite program, that being the Crimson Tide. You can get this by accessing the Touchdown Alabama Magazine app. You download the app from the iPhone App Store if you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store if you've got the Android phone. For your audio listening needs, we got you right here, iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn Radio, Overcast.fm, or iHeartRadio. We got you covered. If the good and gracious Lord sees fit, I'll be back on Wednesday, continuing the conversation that is Tide football. As always, Bama fans, you can purchase individual copies of Touchdown Alabama Magazine and have those sent to your door. That link will be found in the description. Also, if you're trying to be one of the first few to get your hands on the print edition, new edition of Touchdown Alabama Magazine, you can do this by going to touchdownalabama.com, click join, become a member, a subscriber today. Also, if you're trying to get your hands on the 4-finger bling necklace, 4-finger bling jewelry, courtesy of weownthefourthquarter.com, that link in the description. Also, gotta shout out the man New Jack, that $1 donation helping us out here on the show, throwing that George Washington into the super chats. Appreciate that love coming from our own New Jack. But as always, Bama Nation, husbands love your wives, wives appreciate, value those husbands, children continue doing the right thing, the fun thing, the smart thing, the good thing, the legitimate thing, to not be bored. You get you those 3 hearty meals a day, those 3 great laughs a day. Protect yourself, protect the loved ones around you. Until next time, folks, spin in my own words.